leading us to biochemistry. Now, when we talk about, of course, before we would be starting organic chemistry, it was very important that you have to differentiate organic to inorganic. Okay, hindi ko na nga lang class masyado pang inelaborate yung inorganic chemistry. But if you're going to check all what we have learned there in the atomic structure, bonding electrons, that all concerns mostly are inorganic chemistry. I remember last time I also discussed about the differences between different bonds. No? What is covalent bond, how electronegativity was actually related to that. Okay, but to give you the view of inorganic transfer, ionic bonding. Okay, walang carbon. Carbon dioxide is an inorganic compound. Yun lang. Okay. Kasi pag sinabi nating organic, this is already for the compounds that has hydrogen and oxygen. Kailangan may association yun. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Pwede yung tanongin, ma'am, paano kung carbon lang, walang hydrogen? Basta walang carbon, walang magkasamang carbon, hydrogen, hindi nyo yan i-consider na organic. Okay, yun yung pinaka malinaw. Kasi pwede nyo sabihin na along the way, okay, like for example, you have nitrogen, you see oxygen, you see other metals, but there's no hydrogen, so it's not organic. So when you talk about organic chemistry, this mainly is focusing on the substances that is found in the living organism. Okay, kaya nga nakikita nyo ngayon, no? Oh, kumain kayo ng organic, di ba? Sa totoo lang, pag nag-aral ka ng biochemistry or organic chemistry, malalaman mo na hindi naman ganun ka delikado pag kumain ka ng mga substances na puro inorganic sa totoo lang. Or pwede nyo sabihin, awin nyo say organic plants, for example, wala siyang pesticides. But there were ways to eliminate pesticides class or inorganic pesticides, inorganic fertilizers. There are ways, okay? Because they can be decomposed or they can be disintegrated by water. You just has to put them in water for a certain length of time. Pero syempre, yun nga, sinasabi nila when we talk about organic compounds, organic plants, organic fertilizers, may advantage din, no? Kasi nga, safe ka dyan kasi organic na ang ginamit dyan. Pero ang tanong, how sure are you, di ba? How sure are you that it's really an organic plant? Okay. Unless you had your chance to visit the farm. And when you visit the farm, yung awareness mo, mental state lang, class, not unless you go on a soil analysis, di ba? To check on what was really on the soil. Okay, you see? Kapag naging scientific ka talaga, hindi ka pwedeng, alam mo yun? Okay. Yun ang mahirap din nga. Okay? So, sabi ko kanina, carbon and only few other elements. No? Chief among them is hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. CHO, no? Then we use CHN, okay, or amino acid. NHN, 2 amino acids that makes a protein, okay, nitrogen. There were also the presence of sulfur, phosphorus, and halogens. Chlorine, bromine, or iodine. Okay. Before it's only inorganic chemistry. But during my time, may organic chem na rin. Pero hindi yan ganun ka tulad ngayon na parang madali na lang din talaga kung iisipin. Hindi tulad nun na pag sinabing organic, para na kaming, parang mamamatay. Okay? Yung parang, yun ba yung subject mo? Yung mga ganun. So ngayon, pag sinabing biochemistry, parang medyo madali na lang din. Siguro depende rin sa technology. Okay, now, historically, scientists at one time believed that the vital force that was present in living organisms was necessary to produce an organic compound. If you're familiar with the Miller-Urey theory ng biology, the biogenesis theory, okay, you would check there na mayroong experiments, Miller-Urey, that would also state the source of these organic compounds. That it's just that it's not leading to the molecular compound of organic chemistry. Meron na-produce pero it's leading to producing cells. Papunta dun yung theory. Okay? So the experiment of Fuller in 1828 was the first in a series of experiments that led to the demise of the vital force theory. So ano na yung nasa experiment na yun, no? So ammonium chloride, okay. Ammonium, do you see my arrow, class? Ammonium chloride, silver cyanate, with application of heat would produce urea. Or you see, urea is a component of your body, no? It's in the kidney. It's a byproduct. Okay, ng waste materials natin. Plus, silver chloride. So, tatandaan nyo tong chemical reaction na to because this was very important. The sheer number of organic compounds, no, chemists have discovered or made over 10 million organic compounds, and an estimated of 100,000 new ones are discovered made each year. Napakahalaga niyan, class, kasi now that we have the medicines, the drugs, no, the medicines, the vitamins, the supplements, okay, so kanya-kanya sila talaga ng discover, and malaking pera ang pharmaceutical. Okay, napakalaking pera. Lalo na ngayon, alam nyo naman yan. It was taken advantage also. Ngayon, ang nakikita ko yung mga antiviral drugs. I was checking online. Yung Paclocid, mga Paclocid ba yun? Yung Remdesivir, yung ang mamahal. Kaya nga sabi ko, ang hirap makarating sa ospital kasi hindi mo na makontrol yung bill. Okay, and but these were antiviral drugs. All of these were antiviral drugs. Kaya lang, class, lagi kong iniisip yan. Para i-prevent na yung growth ng COVID or any virus that was inside your body. But again, taking an antiviral drug is a precautionary. Ibig sabihin, hindi naman talaga dapat inom lang ng inom. Kaya lang, pag nawalan ka talaga ng choice, no? Okay, kahit tayong nasa bahay lang, if you had an access of it and you think someone in your family is getting worse because of COVID, okay, mawawalan ka ng choice. Pero ang dapat talaga, class, is to check first the viral load of the person. Kaya lang dahil COVID nga, no, nagiging masyadong aggressive ang treatment. Pero kung normal lang yan, class, na virus, for example, hepatitis, okay, yung mga virus na nag-stay sa katawan mo, hindi mo na kayang eliminate. Kasi ang virus should be really getting out of your system. Mga 6 months lang yan eh. But there will be viruses that would stay inside your body and you become a carrier of that. I'm not sure about those people who had long COVID or effect na lang sa kanila yon. Pero sana itong si COVID, walang mag-stay sa katawan ng matagal kasi it's really damaging. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo alam, dinadamage pa yung ibang organs nyo. Ito yung talagang nangangailangan ng antiviral drug. Okay, and their DNA should be subjected to analysis of counting, no, yung mga viral viruses na nasa loob ng katawan mo. Para lang sabihin na candidate ka ng antiviral. I think it should be like 10 million, mga ganun dapat ang bilangan. 10,000 ba yun? Hindi ko lang sure, class, kung 10,000 or 10 million. Pero may range yan eh. Eh ngayon, dahil COVID, so wala na. Mas alam nilang medyo, kung ka papunta kang severe, you have to take that medicine. So it inhibits, the advice is, it inhibits the proliferation of the RNA virus inside the body. So, 85% are known compounds already. So what is now the link to biochemistry? So you know, no, the macromolecules, carbohydrates, okay, these are the source of yung mga rice natin, bread, okay. So sabi nila, makikita nyo to sa biochemistry. Makikita nyo na bakit kailangan hindi ka gaano rin magkakakain ng carbohydrates, no? So, they had different pathways inside the body, class. Yun ang totoo. They had different types of metabolism. Okay? So, akala nyo ba, sabay-sabay lang silang papasok, then you absorb them, then you eat them, then they have them, and the blood would have them and distribute that into your body. Okay? So, the main concern here is to produce ATP, di ba? But it's not. They had, kaya kung sasabihin mo, kung kasing hirap ng biochemistry, yung pagpoproseso ng pagkain, siguro walang masyadong kakain tao. Okay. So they have lipids, proteins. Proteins is a kind of, proteins is the main umbrella, and under that are the enzymes and the hormones. Okay. So you know that when we talk about nucleic acid, these are the DNA, the RNA. Okay. And then the vitamins and almost all other chemicals in the living systems are organic compounds. Okay? So here we have to compare. Andito naman pala. Okay. So in terms of bonding, no, covalent ang organic. Most, no, lagi na sabi most, no, ionic. So pagdating naman sa melting point, ang gases, liquids, or solids ay mababa ang kanilang ang melting point. Pero ang inorganic ay mataas ang kanilang melting point. So organic are insoluble in water. Okay. So we have some compounds inside the body. For example, lipids, no? They're not soluble in water. But when you talk about inorganic compounds, they are soluble in water. So here, like dissolves like. So organic solvents are dissolved in organic solvents that are similar to them in terms of usually molecular weight, density, pwede din, no? Okay, so for example, diethyl ether, toluene, and dichloromethane. Almost are insoluble. Okay, insoluble. So, hindi pwede. Kaya nga, when you combine organic solvent with inorganic solvent, you will see that someone will be surfacing, no, with a lighter density. Okay, you check on water and oil, for example. Sino yung sa ibabaw? Okay, that's the reason why. Basically, because of their bonding. Okay. Water has no capability of breaking the bonds of an organic solvent. Okay. As compared to inorganic solvents that water is capable of breaking. And not only that, even the bonds of inorganic compounds. Okay. So aqueous solution do not conduct electricity. Okay, conduct, no? Pero pag nag-experiment kayo sa lab, I don't know if the solutions that we're using inside the lab before was just like contaminated, umiilaw naman, konting-konti lang. Hindi katulad dito. And then when you burn an organic substance, totally, tsaka mabaho, no? Okay. Ito, konti lang din. Okay. But in terms of reaction, which I think has become an advantage to us, okay, slow. But in inorganic compounds, the reaction are fast, no? Okay. So in organic structure, we have a structural formula that shows the atom present in molecule as well as the bond that connects them. Okay. So we have here the VSEPR model. Okay. So ano ibig sabihin nun? Meron silang sinusunod na bond angles. So these are the bond angles. We have 109.5, 120, and 180 degrees. So pag walang double bond, okay, tetrahedral ang carbon, the bond angle is 109.5. Now, pag nag-bond ang carbon with another carbon and it's a double bond, the bond angle is 120 degrees. Ayan, dito class ha. Ayan. But when there's a triple bond, okay, the molecule can no longer bend for that. It's straight, so it follows the 180 degrees. So, by looking at the structure simply is looking at the bond that connects one carbon to another. Okay. So, what else? Oh, tingnan nyo na lang. Ethane, that's a single bond. Huwag na kayong mag-isip, no? Okay, yeah. Organic structure. So, we had here the different factors or different elements that contribute to the organic structure. So, we have carbon. Carbon is tetrahedral. No? It always forms 4 covalent bonds. And it does not leave unshared pairs of electron. Lalo na si hydrogen. It is always bonded. Nitrogen, okay, 3 covalent bond and has 1 unshared pair. Pair, ibig sabihin class, dalawa. Kasi nitrogen is under group 5, no? Group 5, and the valence electron is 5. If going to check the bonding electrons of nitrogen, tatlo lang ng tatlo yan. For example, cyanide, no? connecting carbon to nitrogen, cyanide, triple bond. Okay. So si nitrogen, di ba, may dalawa siyang unshared pair. Okay. Pero pag ang tanong sa inyo, lone electron, lone, dalawa, lone, isa. Ano ko, lone means mag-isa lang siya, so dalawa yon. Pero pag sinabing pair, o di, dalawa pa rin yun. Okay, tatandaan nyo lang, lagi pa. May exemptions lang dyan. NH4. Pag sa ions, no? Okay, sa ions, like ammonium. Okay. Oxygen is normally forms two covalent bonds and has two unshared pairs of electrons. So, dalawa. Good example na maganda sa oxygen that shows two covalent bonds. Okay. Kasi under group 6 si oxygen, di ba? Okay. So, and of course, halogen, the group 7, 1 covalent bond. And it will give you a 3 unshared pairs of electron. Remember, class, here we are talking about covalent bonding na, which means sharing of electron. So, let's go for the functional group. So, when you talk about functional group, this is an atom or group of atoms within a molecule that shows a characteristic set of predictable physical and chemical properties. So, why they were important? No? They undergo the same type of chemical reactions no matter in which molecule they are found. Kumbaga, buo silang naka-attach sa ibang molecule. Para din silang ions because ions are, of course, there were ions that were just single, no? But most ions were 2 or 3, okay, elements that are composing them, di ba? So, para din silang functional group. Kaya lang si functional group. For example, how are you going to characterize fatty acids? Diba? Carbohydrates. How sure are you that you had the 2-unit or you had the disaccharide? Okay. Because you see the functional group. Diba, class? It's an aldehyde. Okay, nakikita nyo. So, kung hindi kayo familiar sa functional group, medyo matataranta kayo pagdating sa biochemistry. Kasi sa biochemistry class, expected na alam nyo na kung ano yung functional group. Kung face-to-face nga to, maybe the training also of illustrating them, okay, you have to do so many writings when you talk about biochemistry. But I think it's a bit practical also during the online class, no? Naka-adjust tayo. Sana nga pagdating ng face-to-face, hindi naman na sobrang face-to-face, di ba? Kasi ako mas okay din ako dito eh. Kasi yung mga batang gustong makinig, kasi pag sa classroom, medyo maingay talaga yan. Okay. So, what again? To a large measure, they determine the chemical and physical properties of molecule. Okay, there were the units by which we divide the organic compounds into families. And also, they provide the basis on which we derive names from organic compounds. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Paano masasabi na yan ay, what do you call this? Aside from lipids, no? How can you say that this is protein? Okay, how can you say that this is a hormone? How can you say that this is an enzyme? So there are distinguishing structures that would make them different from each other because of this functional group. Okay, now, let's go for the one. The first one is alcohol. Alcohol. Hydroxy. Ang pinakamatatandaan mo dito, class, the OH. Which is also an OH for example, in inorganic chemistry or inorganic compound. OH is also a representation of base, di ba? Sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide. Okay. So, ito yung una namang lesson natin sa biochemistry. So, when you talk about alcohol, okay, it's also attached to a tetrahedral carbon atom. Kasi si carbon, laging nandun. Okay. Now, when you talk, you see the R here, radical ang tawag dyan. Kumbaga, any can connect. Okay. Okay. It's not limited only to hydrogen. Any can connect pag may R. Okay. Okay, so this is the structural formula. Structural is seeing all. Okay. There you had the bonds there. And then you have the number of carbons that was attached. So, sa organic chemistry, okay, dalawang carbon to, no? Okay. Now, pag ginawa natin condensed formula to, okay, lakihan natin ha. Pag sinabi natin condense, bibilangin mo na lang kung ilan yung nakadikit dun sa unang carbon. 3, no? So here, C, H2, ayan, 1, 2. And then an OH. Okay, so you take note, class, the difference between structural and condensed. So alcohol can be classified into 3, no? You had the primary, secondary, or tertiary. So how do you differentiate them from each other? Okay, so just by looking at the structure, tingnan niyo. How do you differentiate them? Okay. So, tingnan nyo ha. Okay, dito, ilang carbon ang nakadikit sa primary. Dito, ilang carbon. Okay. Dito, ilang carbon. Tingnan natin mamaya, no? Okay, so draw a Lewis structure and condense structural formulas for the two alcohols with the molecular formula. So, pwede rin tong molecular na to, class. Ayan. Okay, this is a molecular formula. Ayan, molecular. Dapat dito medyo familiar na kayo. Ito molecular, ito yon. Kasi minsan nililito na yung mga bata, okay? Molecular is just showing the total number of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Kaya pag binigyan ka ng molecular, kailangan medyo magaling kang magsulat ng structural din. Okay. So kung iisipin, pinaka-detailed ay structural, no? Molecular is very generic. Okay. Yan, sabi sa inyo, mag-draw kayo ng Lewis structure and condense structural formula for the two alcohol. Okay, so ito na yung sagot, no? Yan. So how will you do it? Okay, so you have the Lewis structures here. Mag-draw ka muna ng tatlong carbon. Yun talagang pinaka-safe. Okay, alcohol to. Tapos alam mo hydroxide, o dilagay mo na rin yung hydroxide. Diba? So, bilangin mo na. Okay, so you have 3 carbon. Okay, you only had 1 hydrogen. O di, sulat mo na yung hydrogen sa lahat. Okay. Lagi mo lang tatandaan, tetrahedral ang carbon, ha? Okay, hindi kasi sobra. Okay. So, this condensed formula is a primary alcohol. Okay. Why? Tingnan mo. It's a primary alcohol. This is only carbon that is attached to the carbon having the hydroxyl group. Okay. Now, this is a secondary alcohol. Pareho din kayo, no? You could still give same. Okay. So, pwede nyo akong tanongin, sabihin nyo, ma'am, pwede ba ako mag-draw ng kahit ilan? Sabi ko nga, ang organic at ang inorganic tsaka ang organic ay isang trial and error process ng pagsusulat ng mga structures, no? So, tingnan mo kung how many structures can you, because you are always limited depending on the molecular formula that was given to you. So, in here, you see, there's only 2, no? Okay. Binilipat lang naman, class, tingnan mo. Carbon, inakyat lang dun sa pangalawa para sundin yung standard ng secondary alcohol. Okay? Ito kasi primary. Linear lang yan. Okay? Ito secondary. So, I think it's only limited to up to secondary. Hindi ka na makakapag-illustrate dito ng tertiary. Okay? So, let's go for amines, no? Or amine. Okay. Amine is a compound containing amine. The word amine goes for the amino group. So, the amino group may be also primary, secondary, or tertiary. So, here, was it the same rule with naming primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohol? Okay. Check on the structure, because check on the structure. You always had to check for the structure. Hindi kayo pwede maging affirmative na sinabi ni ma'am to. No. Kailangan magaling kang tumingin ng structure. Kasi yung structure na yan ang magpapaintindi sa'yo kung paano mo iintindihin yung lesson. Chemistry is visual, class. You have to use your visual skill. Okay? Hindi lang yung pag-iintindi mo lang, okay? And also writing skills, illustrating skills, okay? Sabi ko nga, you have to put that in your hand so you could always remember. Kaya when you start on inorganic chemistry, talagang puro sila illustration, puro sila compute, no? Okay. It was not easy here on online, but we managed to have it. Okay, later malalaman nyo, mag-activity tayo. Malalaman nyo kung paano ko tinuturo ang chemistry online. Okay? So, here you have methylamine, dimethylamine, and trimethylamine. Class, it's not only looking at the structure per se, but also have to remember what are the examples. Ano yung mga example? Okay, which of the following are examples of primary amine? Oh, yan, ito yung choices mo. Ano sagot? Okay, it's methylamine. Okay. So here you are asked to do a condensed structural formula. O, kondensa, molecular tong bigay sa iyo. Condense ang hinahanap sa inyo. O balikan nyo, no. Just have to look on the slide again. Balikan nyo to, tapos tingnan nyo yung, ano ba yung condense kanina na pinakita ko? Okay. So this is a way of drawing condensed structural formulas for the two primary amines with the molecular formula of C3H9N. Okay, you have here the 3 carbons may be bonded to nitrogen in 2 ways. Okay, in 2 ways. It could be like this, and it could be like this. Okay. Tingnan nyo kung paano siya simulat, class. Okay. Pwede siya nasa dulo, pwede siyang nasa ibabaw. Okay, and of course, you had to provide. Actually, pwede mo nalagyan niya ng line lang. Basta naglagay ka dyan ng line dito, understood class hydrogen na yun. Kung medyo natatamad ka na. Okay, just had to put a line there, a bond. Wala ka nang nilagay. Okay, that's already hydrogen. Okay, hydrogen. May magtatanong ba? I would only entertain students who would be questioning because this is a recorded video. Okay. Ayan. Any question pala? Oh, sige, sino gusto magtanong? Or you wanted to ask question? Yes, sino yan?
Good morning po, ma'am.
Morning.
Ask ko lang po na kapag po ba amine, automatic nitrogen po yung kasama po na
Yes.
compound.
That is NH2.
Okay po. Tapos kapag po alcohol,
OH.
carbon, nitrogen, at saka oxygen.
Carbon, OH. Basta OH ang dulo. Oo, tandaan niyo OH.
Yun yung mga component.
Medyo kan kaiha, malabo.
Ay, automatic po, yun po yung mga component po.
Yeah. So kanina, OH tayo. Ngayon naman ay NH2 tayo. Na? Okay. Huwag muna kayo mag-isip ng kahit ano. Doon nyo i-focus, tandaan nyo. Okay, kanina you have alcohol, now you have amines. Okay? Actually, these are amino. Okay. Kaya lang, amino acid is only built up. Yan, di ba? Amino, ito lang. Tama? Di ba, class? But when you put an amino group to carbon, hindi na siya amino. Amines. Nakuha nyo? So that's a good question. So, ano lang naman medyo nakakalito. So, now, we had two. Next is aldehyde and ketone. When you talk about aldehyde, you remember formaldehyde or formalin. Okay. Pero in aldehydes and ketone, ito yung titingnan nyo. Carbonyl group. What is a carbonyl group? It's a carbon double bonded to oxygen. Okay? Daan nyo yan, ha? So when we define aldehyde, it is a carbonyl group bonded to a hydrogen. Okay. So ang simplest aldehyde natin ay formaldehyde. And the carbonyl group is bonded to 2 hydrogen. Okay? 2 hydrogen. O, nakita nyo to? Ayan. Wait. Sabi ba 2 hydrogen? Okay. This is the carbonyl group. Okay? This is the functional group. Okay? Bakit 2 hydrogen? Dapat 1 hydrogen lang. Okay? Kasi the other one is carbon. Okay? Okay, wait. Mali to. Ang aldehyde ay compare na lang natin, ha? 1 bonded to, the carbonyl group, 1 bonded to hydrogen and 1 bonded to carbon. So, hindi to tama, class na. You cannot bind carbon with 2 hydrogen. So, okay, carbon. Pero may functional group. Okay. So this is, tingnan nyo na lang to. The carbonyl group of an aldehyde is attached to 1 hydrogen and 1 carbon. Pero ang carbonyl group ng isang ketone, okay, ay naka-attach sa 2 carbon. Klaro yon? Okay, klaro yun ha. O, pag aldehyde, may isang carbon, may isang hydrogen, andito ang carbonyl. Pag ketone, 2 carbon. Okay. Draw a condensed structural formula for the 2 aldehydes with the molecular formula of C4H8O. Okay, again, ang technique, isulat niyo muna yung carbon. Tapos, hinihingan ka lang ng aldehyde. So, may carbon at may oxygen, hydrogen sa kabila. Okay? Tingnan natin. Okay, so first, you have to draw the functional group of an aldehyde. Okay, sabi, unahin mo muna yung aldehyde. And add the remaining 3 carbons. So this may be bonded in 2 ways. Okay. Pwede siya class isulat na ganito, oh. Pwede rin ganito. Kaya di ba yung carbohydrate, CHO, pero meaning that there's a carbonyl group there. Ayan. Okay. Or you could write it this way also. So this is the other one, and this is the other one. Okay, tama ba? Carbon, carbon, hydrogen. Okay, iniba lang yung structure niya, no? May question tayo dito? O, tandaan nyo, it could be this one or CHO. Okay na tayo ha sa, ano yun? Aldehyde tsaka sa ketones. Yes? Question again? Oh.
Ma-upload naman po yung session po sa Brightspace po.
Anak, lagi kong i-upload. Baka nakakabuti eh. Okay. Okay, mag-alala. Ma-record. Mare-record naman siguro. Okay. Balikan nyo. Okay, let's go for carboxylic acid. So, it was really very important, no? So, yung nauna ay hydroxide, sumunod ay amines, sumunod ay aldehydes at ketones. This time, it's carboxylic acid. Okay. Ang carboxylic acid ay pinagsamang carbonyl at hydroxyl. Okay? So, tandaan niyo, ang carboxylic acid ay pinagsamang carbonyl group at hydroxyl group. Ang carbonyl group, ano na nga? Carbon, double bonded to oxygen. Ang hydroxyl group ay OH. Okay. So, in a condensed structural formula, a carbonyl group may also be written as this. Okay. If you write aldehydes as CHO, you write carboxylic acid as CO2H. O, kaya pag nakita nyo CO2H, okay, carboxylic acid to. Okay. So, aside from knowing this one, alam nyo na ganito siya. No? Ito yung carbonyl, no? Kanina. Ito yung OH. So, pag nakita nyo yan, minsan COOH, may ganun din. Pwede rin, COOH. Ito, dinodoble itong oxygen. COOH, no? So, that is now a carboxylic acid. So, this is the functional group. This is now the acetic acid, which is a carboxylic acid. Yung pa natin yan. Ano yan? Suka, no? It's a vinegar. Acetic acid. Okay. So, now let's go for, okay, ito na. Draw a condensed structural formula for the single carboxylic acid with the molecular formula of C3H6O2. Okay, so tingnan natin. Ayan, mag-draw ka raw ng carboxylic acid. The only way the carbon atoms can be written is 3 in a chain. Okay? So, sabi ko kanina ito. Ako, okay ako dito eh. Pero kasi class, tandaan nyo, okay, for example, sa examination natin, minsan depende yan sa gumagawang prof, kung ano ginamit niya na, ano yun, ginamit niya na structure, kung ano yung gusto niyang gamitin. Kaya dapat natatandaan nyo na, alam nyo naman yung exam, di ba, 100 items yun eh. So, kailangan familiar talaga sa'yo na yung CO2H and COOH is the same. Okay? CHO and C double bonded to oxygen with hydrogen is an aldehyde. Okay. So here, you see this is a carboxylic acid, or you can be written like this. It can be written like this. Kung titingnan natin, ayan, carbon, ito yung carbon, oh. Ito yung oxygen. Okay, ito yung isang oxygen, ito yung hydrogen. Now, let's have the last one. Last na ba to? Okay. Carboxylic ester. It's a derivative of carboxylic acid in which the hydrogen of the carboxyl group is now replaced by a carbon group. Okay, class? So, halos pareho sila ng carboxylic acid. Kaya lang, tandaan nyo, yung hydrogen ng carboxyl group ay pinalitan ng carbon group. Ayan. So, ito na yung functional group niya, no? Ayan. COOH yung carboxylic acid. Si carboxylic ester ay COOC class. Okay, COOC. Ayan, no? COOC. Okay, H3. Okay. So, dali lang naman siya, class. Hindi naman siya yung kaya lang, kailangan, balikan nyo ng balikan. Okay, may question tayo dito? Siguro. Sige, magpapagawa ako ng activity that is related to this also. Because I know that it's not, hindi kayang tandaan niya ng bata. Okay?